Welcome back to this new exciting series where we speak with top professors from across Harvard and MIT, unpacking powerful ideas and practical insight for anyone navigating innovation, leadership, and impact. Today's guest is Professor Jonathan Fleming, biotech investor, entrepreneur, and a senior lecturer here at MIT. Jonathan has spent decades at the intersection of science and capital, turning deep tech into real-world solutions and helping both founders and funders scale and deliver value. Jonathan has gone on to raise more than $1 billion and help multiple biotechs exit to also hundreds of millions and billions of dollars worth of value as well. So whether you're just starting out and want to break into the world of innovation, or you're a leader looking to sharpen your edge, this episode is going to be packed on practical insights and on what it takes to build something that lasts. Let's jump in. Right, guys, so welcome back to another very exciting episode in this series. So as you've already heard from the intro, we are very fortunate to have Professor Jonathan Fleming from MIT with us today. He's kind enough to share some of his time and insights with us, and we've got some great questions on behalf of you, our valuable audience. The first question is for the members of our audience, Jonathan, that are more early stage in their careers. So they're 18, 21, they've got passion for life sciences, they've got a passion for biotechs. But it seems like the scale of change is it's happening so much quicker now than it has ever before. So for those in their early stage careers looking to break into something as fast moving as biotech and innovation, what can they do at that stage of their career to really stand out and make an impact and have a good foundation to move forward?
So I would advise people at that stage of the career to not focus so much on the science, which is changing, or the technology, which is changing so rapidly, and trying to understand which one should I be studying or which one should I be the master of, because inevitably they will be obsolete by the time that you study. And what I would encourage them to do is to ask the question, what problem do I want to solve today? If you're in the life sciences, one of the great benefits of working in it is that you go to work every day and the end product of your labor hopefully is going to help a patient or a group of patients. You're going to some way make the world a better place. So who is your patient? Who do you want to make better? Like what? And it could be very personal because something happened in your family and you saw that the medical treatment for that condition, whether it's physical condition, mental or emotional condition, you say like, that's not right. We should have better treatments. Then you found something that can animate your career. So the way to make sense of all this swirl of technology and change and chaos is to make your North Star, your rock of Gibraltar, pick your metaphor, but to make it the patient you want to help. And then when you start asking and you become kind of an expert in, well, like, what are all the things that are available to those patients today? What are the products and services? How does that work? You'll find when you're talking to your boss or to somebody involved in your class, your professor, and you can relate what they're talking about in terms of science and technology, in terms of how it might help a specific patient, that will make an impression. Because it's ultimately how that thing gets translated into a product, a service, a care protocol, something that makes a patient or a group of patients better. And I think it's a great way to organize all the stuff that's coming at you. Do I need to know this to solve this problem? Yes, no. Right. And then you could swipe left or swipe right with a lot of stuff that's incoming and really focus your attention. Okay, I know I need to learn this because this particular disease, it functions this way. So I need to learn more about the liver. Sure. How that functions. Well, I have these enzymes. What's a freaking enzyme? And so then you start peeling that onion. And when you're doing it, not because you're trying to get a grade in a class or you're trying to do some internship or something, you're just doing it because you're trying to find the answer to help solve the problem for this patient or group of patients, then it's an adventure, it's a journey, it's a labor of love. It's very, very different feeling. And it makes you It makes it quite clear what you need to pay attention to.
That's a powerful example to give, because I think early on in your career, there's probably so many different things that you can look at, but having that Rock of Gibraltar as an example gives you a real anchor to have a strong foundation on. And then that gives us a nice segue to the next question that we had for those leaders that has started their career now in biotechs. Maybe they fortunately had that Rock of Gibraltar, maybe from a personal circumstance or a patient story close to them, and now they've got that foundation. But you've touched upon so many different things that you have to swipe left and right, and probably the more higher up you get in your career, the more tempting offers you're getting towards your direction as well. So for leaders that are at the later stages of their career, whether they're running their business or whether they're running a team, how do they stay at the forefront of innovation when there's so much going on, especially with the news today, with tariffs coming on or off, or this innovation is hot or not? You've probably seen many different trends in your investing history. So how does a leader at the later stages of their career stay on top of the innovation that really matters? And actually, let's swipe that from left to right.
When you're later in your career, you have groups of stakeholders that you are beholden to. These could be the investors that got you to where you are. They could be members of your management team that have given you 60 hours a week for years and sacrificed family events in order to help you. It could be relationships that you've built out in industry or with the patient groups. So you get very committed to winning on a course that you've chosen. And you spent all your time convincing people that this is the best course, that you probably convinced yourself beyond the point that you could be dissuaded. Sure. And where people sometimes get in trouble is not having that ability to pull back a little bit and say, is this really the very best way to get to this place that I need? And it's further compounded, the challenge of this, because when you're a leader of these organizations, you're supposed to tell people where you're going, and then you sort of give them progress things. So if you get to a certain point and you say, I can keep doing this, but it's going to lead to a suboptimal outcome. That is a really brave decision, because you're it's not just about you. You've got all these people you're beholden to. So you sort of have to get to a point where doing the best for the thing you set out to do may or may not be the best for each of the stakeholders in your group. And that becomes just an enormous challenge emotionally and just from a leadership and management standpoint. And then when the innovation comes along, when's the right time to say, that kind of trumps everything? And that's happened in my career. And sometimes it's been right, sometimes it's been wrong. I will say, as we discussed earlier, there's no company I've ever been involved with, ever, that was a big success. That was a big success of the thing it started out trying to develop. We just talked about Amgen and Vertex and Alnylam. None of the three are doing the thing they told investors at the beginning they would do. It took them all a journey to get there, and a lot of learning. So from those great leaders, it was this willingness to say, this dog's not going to hunt, and I need to get me a new dog. And each of them had moments in their company's careers where they made a hard pivot. And it wasn't so much science or technology driven as problem solution driven, right? The problem is that much bigger than just trying to solve this patient. You've got to solve a complex puzzle that involves investors and stakeholders and patients, but it often means acknowledging that this path that we've all sort of committed ourselves to is not good enough. Just to finish on the advice side for that is there often are people who acknowledge that, but they're so insecure in their role that they They're rolling other people under their bus. They're blaming all these different things. And I would really encourage people to say, I did this. I led us here. It's not the best place for us. So I'm going to make a pivot. And here's where we're going to go, and here's why. And I think people respond very well, all stakeholders, to that kind of principled leadership. And they'll follow you when they see you dissembling and rolling people under the bus and not being accountable for what you did. You're going to struggle much more. And in most cases, the flash of the new thing isn't going to be what gets you. It's going to be that someone's out figured a better way to solve the problem, or a better target for your disease, better way to deliver your drug. So it just always have to be challenging. And at the end, does it solve the problem better than the thing I'm doing now?
I mean, there's so much value that you've just shared there, Professor. And I recommend for those that are in that stage of their career, it's definitely worth rewinding and listening to that again, because there was so much value from what you've shared. And one thing that I wanted to anchor on was around principled leadership. So with your background, you've come across multiple entrepreneurs, you've seen businesses scale and descale, businesses exit for billions of dollars, you've raised billions of dollars to go the other way as well. Around this idea of principled leadership, are there any traits that are common with the leaders that have really been able to scale that impact versus the ones that unfortunately had the right intentions, but they weren't able to deliver at that ultimate end goal? Any commonalities you see in those leaders?
Although I haven't heard them always articulate it that way, I would say a common feature is generally they will, quote, try to do the right thing.
Sure.
They will ask himself, what is the right thing to do? And you can take a class at Harvard called Justice, and you could learn that the right thing to do can be defined different ways by different value systems. So their value system, is this the right thing to do for investors? Is this the right thing to do for patients? Is this the right thing to do for my career? So the definition that I use is what I'm doing now are written up and in the front page of the newspaper tomorrow morning. Would I want my wife and children to read it? Would they be proud of me? And if I can answer that question without dissembling or rolling other people under the bus, you just say, yeah, this is what I did and this is why, and I don't have to run from it, even if it wasn't necessarily always a success or a win, then I think those people are going to succeed at this principled leadership. They're typically people who acknowledge the conflicting tensions in trying to figure out what is the right thing to do. Like, for whom? And many of the people who get lost, they get lost because they're chasing share price, or they're chasing economic benefit to themselves, or they're chasing what they perceive as if they fail in their career will fail, and somehow they'll fail their family or their some other external audience. And that will always get you into trouble. The other thing that you just sort of repeat what I said before, transparency is such a better strategy than non-transparency almost all the time. You just say, yeah, I did this. And the line about your hand in the cookie jar, hey, it doesn't work for presidents of the United States. It doesn't work for organizations. Everybody can see your hand is in the cookie jar. Lying about it doesn't get you anywhere. Saying, look, I brought us here. This is what I did. This is how this is what it means. This is what we're going to try to do to get out of this jam. This is why I think it'll work. People will follow you. So principled leaders are the ones who don't lose sight of am I doing the right thing? Sure. And you can expose that, do the right thing, to that question to your management team, to other stakeholders, and maybe they'll convince you that doing the right thing is a little different than where you started. But that's the place where the discussion should be. Not, wow, we've got to get the share price. We would say, well, what is the right thing to do? Because that broadens the discussion and brings in some of these intangibles that are I think, the basis of principled leadership.
Amazing. Professor, thank you so much for the time. I think on behalf of the audience that will be watching this, you've shared wisdom across these three different elements of people's careers and actionable insights that we hope is super valuable to you. And on behalf of the class, I just want to say thank you. For anyone that's interested in studying at Boston, or if you're in Harvard or MIT, this class with Professor Jonathan Fleming is one of the highest rated courses. And the professor here, hopefully you get a sense of his patience and support and time that he's willing to give anyone in the class. And his pedigree speaks for itself. And I think for us to have this time and share that with this wider audience really means a lot. So on behalf of the audience, on behalf of our class, thank you so much, Professor, for the time. And we look forward to staying in touch and seeing what amazing things that we can do in terms of impacting people's lives in a healthier way, and hopefully making you proud of the classes that you continue to teach.
I do. And I will, and you will as well.
Thank you so much. We'll end it there. Thank you.